Julian, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, dude. The background looks so sick. Like, everything you have back there is like very scenic. Then you look at mine, I'm in a hotel room. So it's like, oh,
hey,
I feel undressed now.
No, I do it on the move sometimes too. I'm actually about to move studios, but yeah, thanks, man. It's work in progress. It's been fun doing these podcasts. You're doing them as well, so you're doing them with Kendra Lust. And how do you like doing podcasts?
Man, podcasts are super fun. We're in the process of starting to bring in like guests, but I think you have to take the time to get comfortable with the person. Like if you have a co-host and a host, you have to get comfortable talking with each other, going back and forth, understanding it. But now that we're starting to bring in guests, man, it's pretty fun because she brings a different perspective that I don't think about, obviously, like from her line of work, but it's just kind of cool to get the different variations of answers people would give. And it's not the normal style interviews or the conversations that you typically would have on certain, podcasts. So I like it. It's fun.
And how did that happen? How did that go? Like, how did that whole thing start with you and her? Like the meeting and then agreeing to do a podcast and then starting a podcast?
Oh, man. It was kind of crazy. I actually met her on her birthday at a strip club.
Oh, wow.
And I got invited out to come to a strip club. And they were saying like it was someone's birthday. A friend of mine, it was Eric Anders. He's like, hey, man, you need to come out. I was like, it's 12 o'clock at night. I didn't really want to like get out of bed. He's like, dude, you have to. I'm telling you, you have to. And I'm like, all right. So I leave. I get dressed. I leave. I show up to the strip club in Las Vegas. And I had no clue. Eric's phone's dead. I didn't know where it was. I'm asking the front host, walking around the strip club for like 30 minutes. I'm like, man, I'm about to leave. And the host's like, hey, just go up there and look. So I walk up, and the first thing I see is like Mike Goldberg. I see Andy Ruiz. I see TJ Dillashaw's manager. I see all these different like stars and celebrities. I'm like, what the hell is this? And all of a sudden she like comes up to me. Eric comes up to me, and then we start talking. And then from then on, we were just kind of hit it off and just was joking around back and forth, had a great chemistry that night. And then one thing led into another. She saw I did my coffee talks on Instagram. We're just like, hey, let's like team up. And then now we have a Beauty and the Beast podcast.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I love your personality, dude. I was just watching you on Instagram, and you were filming houses. Where were you at? And like, there's these gigantic houses, and you were just going crazy about how big these houses were.
Man, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm here to watch UFC 261. I finally get a break in the schedule of training. I have a teammate, Jeff Molina, fighting. So I'm out here. I came out a couple of days, and like I wanted to see the beach. I'm trying to get to the beach, and then for some reason, I went to was it Ponte Verde? It's like a beach, and man, these houses are unreal. They're not even like I don't see this kind of stuff. These people have castles on the beach, like legit castles. Like their house could fit my entire gym plus more. It's like whoa, man, it's insane.
So you wouldn't have a house that big one day if you could?
If I could, for sure, but these things have to be $25+ million houses. They're on the beach. The size of these, I mean, they have to be like literally, I don't know, probably 10,000 square feet, if not more, just homes. It's ridiculous. But if I had the money, yeah, I would.
You had a really good chance. I want to get an update on that. But like you and Miley Cyrus were going back and forth, and that could have got you a house like that. How's that going?
I'm not going to marry in rich. That's one thing for sure. I got to build it my own. You respect it different when it's yours, No, her and I we just talk on the internet back and forth. I really have not reached out to her since before my fight. She, last thing we spoke about was she wants to come to a fight. She's interested. I told Dana, and Dana's down. But in all honesty, I was just focused on my fight, like I asked her to be my Valentine. She agreed to be my Valentine. Awesome. So I was 2021 Valentine was Miley Cyrus. Now I got to pick a new one for next year, like.
No, keep the same one, dude. Stay with her. Trust me. She's awesome.
Go with it.
You already got the yes from like one of the hardest to get yes girls ever. Like I would stay with that as long as you can.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of fun, going back and forth. Someday we'll meet. But I don't know. It's pretty cool having that opportunity to, like talk to someone that I've like gone to their concert multiple times, like I respect her a lot. I love her music. It's got me through a lot of like tough times, especially in the 31 months that I was injured. I would just jam out to her music as I would do marathons and things like that to keep my body in shape. And it's helped out a lot. So just being able to talk to her and reach out to her, like, it's amazing. And also too, I don't want to be that guy that like constantly blows her up like, hey, what's up? What's up? You know how like those guys are. It's like, man, we'll talk when we talk. You know, I'm in no rush.
Yeah.
Chestnut.
What's ironic is that song, the one, the USA song, I don't know the exact name of the song. What is it? The name of the song? Do you know?
Party in the
Party
USA.
in the USA, yeah. So that exact song, I went on a military USO support tour with Kyle Kingsbury, Chris Lieben, and we were all through like Djibouti, Africa, and all these crazy places. And for whatever reason, that song was our song of the trip. So every time somebody would click that song on their phone or whatever, we'd all have to sing it, like no matter where we were. So if we were like in the middle of like some military function or like in the middle of like tour in the city where it's like all locals in the town center of Djibouti, Africa, or wherever we were, whoever clicked that on, and they always clicked it on at the craziest time, we all had to dance and sing that song. And so it's so funny when you walked out to that song. I think I remember. Yeah.
Did you dance to it? Tell me you danced to it.
Oh, I did, of course. We have videotape. It's insane. It was the catchiest song ever, and we'll never forget that song from that whole experience. So, but anyway, congratulations on your last fight. Huge win for you, and 2 now this year, which is pretty cool. It's only been like half a year so far, and then going off a 2-year layoff. So it's got to feel pretty good to get this win over Sam Alvey.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I'm blessed. Like, you know, my career started off like with a huge bang. You know, I got the Contender series, I got the submission over Darren Stewart, and then I go to fight Alessio Di Chirico. I miss weight.
Yeah.
I tear my arm out in the middle of the fight. I'm out for 31 months. I'm sitting there. I had like 3 of the worst things possible to happen, like trifecta. Yeah. You know, like everyone's still talking about your weight miss for the 31 months you're gone. They just forgot about you. I left on a terrible page. So they forgot about you. So I had a constant battle, and, you know, teaming up with James Krause over there in at least I'm in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, at Glory MMA and Fitness, man, it really changed my lifestyle, changed my habit, things changed my thought process, and really helped build me back up to where I was. So, you know, I believe my style is the exciting entertainment style that the people have been needing for a long time, especially just my personality. It's just a fun one, especially on the mic, I believe. But you know, coming back in and getting 2 fights that put me back on the map, that bring out that excitement where people are now talking about me, the buzz is back again. And so it's like, it definitely changed my life, and I'm on a high road right now. And it's just, I only want to keep going up. I want to train even harder so I can, you know, continue this path towards the belt. So I can continue this path towards the top of the mountain. And man, it's a blessing. I'm so stoked.
Yeah, I can tell, man. And I love your fighting style. Like, I love fighters that go out there and can throw hard and get into the dog fight when they're actually getting thrown at, you know, and they're getting punches either landing or they're coming at their face. And Sam Alvey was coming at you hard. He was throwing bombs, and you were just right in his face. Whether you took them and you took a few, or whether they missed, which a few big ones missed, you were just right there in his face. And I love that fighting style, man. That's like that gladiator, you know, just real fucking badass style.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a very risky style. It's a live by the sword, die by the sword style. It's the mid range, which, you know, I'm developing a little bit more. I gotta learn how to stay on the outside, which I felt like I was moving my head a lot more in Sam. I felt like I was getting away from his punches and kept it to where it was just so close to my chin, but I was still in range to fire back. I'm still learning a lot more, especially, you know, James has been helping me a lot more to be elusive and to you know, to not always depend on my chin, because I did get caught at the end of round 1, and that thing hurt. Yeah. I've never been hit so hard in my life that I thought my foot was broken.
Oh, wow.
I legitimately thought my foot was broken when Sam cracked me in the eye. I was stomping my foot as I was walking away. Like, I was backing up. I was like trying to stomp my foot, because like for some reason when I was like in wrestling in high school, I bit my toes back. Yeah. So I came back up, and I didn't know what to do, so I stomped my foot, and then all of them just kind of snapped back forward.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, cool.
It's like a natural reaction.
So I thought I did that with my ankle, so I was like stomping on it. And if you ever interview James Krause, ask him. within round 1 and 2. I didn't want to say it because the commission was right there, but I looked at him, he looked at me, and I looked down at my foot, and I was like, oh, okay, it's not broken. But like, he was laughing about it later, and watch the video. You'll see me look up, walk away from the entire, like after the exchange. I'm looking up, my chest high. I will not look down because I thought my foot was dangling off.
Holy shit, that's crazy, man. It's just, but I've had similar with foot stomps, but that's it, and that was done by my opponent. I didn't do that myself, so that must have been a weird feeling when you know you injured yourself like that.
He kicked me in the leg, so he rocked me, hit me, and I went back, and when he came in to try to get the flurry, I guess he kicked me like before he even came in, just a hard, just shin to shin or shin to ankle kick. And then we got out of the flurry, and I thought it was from the punch, dude. It was
must have been like a nerve or something.
Yeah, it was. It just hurt, man. It was so weird.
That's crazy.
Hey, it is what it is.
So we got 7 of your last 8 fights you won, right? And then you got 9 wins, 9 finishes. So I mean, I got to ask you what you want next and where you want to go. It seems like the top 15 is kind of tied up right now. I mean, it seems like Whitaker wants Adesanya. I mean, there's obviously at the very top, but Vettori wants Adesanya, which I want to get your opinion on. Who you want to see fight Adesanya? Just your opinion. But then all the way down the list, it seems like everybody's kind of tied up, or kind of they're sick or tied up, or they got stuff going on. What are you looking at right now? Like how soon are you looking to get back in there, and who would you like to face next as that next step up?
Right now I'm taking a couple of weeks off because I have to let my hand heal.
Okay.
It's definitely like I can't even shake someone's hand right now because it hurts. It hurts ridiculous. So I'm going to build up my skill set. I'm going to get stronger.
Cool.
You know, everyone's going to look at the Maki Pitolo fight at the beginning of the year and be like, all right, here's the game plan to beat Julian. It's wrestling. 31-month off fighting Maki Pitolo. Maki had a great game plan. But I still have to hone in on the wrestling aspect to make sure it's better. You know, you can see landslides of improvement within just a month and a half. And with that, right now I'm not a want. So no one they want me, but they don't really want me. They're not looking at me. They're like, oh, this guy's here, you know, like not worry about it. There's going to be a point in time I'm just going to keep racking up wins, get these dominant fashion wins to the point where they start looking and be like, oh, shit, here comes this guy. Like, oh, shit, we got to get ready. So right now they're not looking at me, and I like that. I like to be the dark horse. I've always been the dark horse of the division. I was a dark horse going in on the Contender series. I was a dark horse going in on my first UFC fight. You know, I'm the dark horse again. All of a sudden I rose. I've been in the UFC since 2017, and all of a sudden now we're like, where's this guy been? And that's the thing is we're going to keep racking up wins. Doesn't matter who it is. We're going to work our way up. Once we get the top 15, they're going to know we're there. They're going to be preparing for us a longer time, and then it's just going to be too late. Yeah,
it's a good game plan, man. And, you know, it works. One of the best fighters in the world, you know, my teammate, John Fitch, that's exactly what he did. I mean, he got in the UFC. We were on the Ultimate Fighter. He was the only one on the team, like the main members of the team that didn't make it on the Ultimate Fighter at that time. And he had to sit back and just take fights. And he finally got in the UFC. And he just fought in the dark fights like over and over and over. If you look at the beginning of his UFC career, I mean, it was like 6 or 7, maybe 8 fights before anybody saw him. And then he went on to be like the best, you know, #2 fighter in the world for like 3 years. The only person that could beat that man was Georges St. Pierre. And they had a war. So, I mean, you're right. You got to just keep grinding up and let your work show. And that's definitely what works, man. You know, because a lot of times people just try to jump ahead too soon. And I love the fact you said you're going to work on this and you're going to work on that. You're going to take time off. Like a lot of guys try to jump ahead too soon. And then they run into skids. Like Holland, for instance, he had a lot of hype, you know, and then now he's on a skid. He had some big fights and now he's kind of set back a little bit. With your personality, man, and your character, it's like you can go a long ways. I love your personality. I love your character. You know, you keep racking up wins and fighting good, man. You could be a big star. Yeah, that's the goal. Like, obviously the main goal is to be a champion, but in the process is to get, you know, your life set up. And, you know, if we're going to talk, let's talk about Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland's setting up his life. Most people don't really realize that, like, he jumped into the UFC. He's fighting legit. He can go down to 70 and be a dominant 70-pounder. Super strong, long. I think his wrestling defense would be even better
at 70 because of the strength difference that he has at 85. He walks around like 83 pounds, 183,
Oh, wow. I know that.
185. So like he doesn't really have to cut weight, but he's just taking all these short notice fights, racking in his paycheck. You know, the amount of money Dana said he made in 2020 with all of his wins is over $500,000.
Damn.
You're talking to a guy that prior to that probably wasn't making anything. And we had a conversation. He said, I was planning on fighting in Dana White Contender Series, make that money and go back to the trap house. That's literally what he said. Hilarious kid. But it's like, you know, he changed his life by the fighting style he has. And I think it's good that he takes these short notice fights. But again, I think he's an anomaly when it comes to taking short notice fights. But like Edmund Shabazian,
right?
He got crushed all the way up. And he finally went against somebody, and now we know, all right, take Edmund into the third and take him grappling. If you can stop his combinations, you'll get him tired. He doesn't know how to fight in the third. And if you look at a lot of these like stars that they want to push hard, push heavy, and keep going up to the top, there's a few that shine out. Israel Adesanya, Paulo Costa, those stars definitely shine out. I'm looking at my division mainly. But you know, you have to build it up. Like I have to build my career up correctly. I have to be ready for when the time happens, because when it happens, you're in the firefight. And if you're not ready in the firefight, it's over.
Yeah.
Kamaru Usman had, how many wins did he have before he had the belt?
Yeah, a lot.
And he had like 8 wins before he went in and challenged the belt. Like everyone just was laughing at him like this, that, and the other. But he took his way to get his financial status set up, his grappling to the level that it needed to be, his striking to the level that it needed to be. You know, we finally saw his striking against Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. When we saw that, that was the first time we saw his striking on display. Other than that, we saw his wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's no one realized he had that like great of striking because he's been wrestling everybody. And then when they're like, oh, he's going to get beat up, and then all of a sudden we see his striking, it's like, that's what I mean that you need to develop during the times where people don't think you have it. Right. And it's like, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you're on the right track there. And I think someone to thank for that, in my opinion, and you can confirm this, Mr. James Krause, who was on my podcast as well. What a great guy. What a great fighter. What a great coach. How has it been having him coach you? He seems like just such an overall great person and definitely a great dedicated coach who really cares about his fighters. How is it training with him and having him as your coach?
Man, look, this is one thing that, like, I never really understood coaching, you know, and let me explain this to you. So I worked with James prior. When I first started my career out, he was my first coach. Mm-hmm. Him and Ryan Davidson were my first coach. And then we started growing the gyms, bought everything. And then, you know, after my mom passed in 2014, I made a decision that I was going to go venture out. And I left to Vegas, had multiple coaches in Vegas. And in that time, something happened with him that changed, and something happened with me, you know? And when I deal with coaches, like, it's more like, all right, we're going to do this. This is how you're going to knock this fool out. Oh, this is what we're going to do. The game plan, there really isn't like a game plan. It's just an idea. It's a concept. Right. You're talking about, oh, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to set this up. And then you work on like a couple things, and you go in, you don't have like a strategic plan going in. So like every one of my fights I went in, and I've won because of my own thoughts and like just adjusting on the fly and listening to what people have. When I got the head kick knockout on Contender Series, it was adjustment on the fly. Like no one saw that coming. Right. I saw it in there. I was like, all right, let me throw this. You know, when I got the guillotine, no one taught me that guillotine or saw me to put it in. They weren't teaching me that prior to that fight on Darren Stewart. And it was like that. It was just, I never had a system. I never had an idea what it was. So when I came to James, he broke me down. Like the old Marine style or the military style or Army style, whenever you go into like the basic training, they break you down. Yeah. Basically say everything you've ever done, you need to change. You got to do everything different. So he put me on a schedule that was 100% you're going to fail. Legit, 100%. I should not have passed with flying colors the way I did. But it was like, you can't be late. If you're late, you're out. By 1 minute, we're kicking you out. If you're, if you miss practice, don't bother coming back. You show up on this day at this time. I don't care if anyone's sick. I don't care if this, that, and the other's happening. You show up here. And then like you have to eat here. You have to send me your weight every morning. You have to go to bed at like a certain time. Like it was like legit everything cycled in. And it was wild to get like that type of attention. It was a 2-week trial. They gave me a 2-week trial to join the gym.
Wow.
So it was just kind of wild when it came to that. And I did everything that he wanted me to the point where he's like, all right, come live with me. And when I got to live with him for 3 months while I was getting ready for my first fight, I got to see how he coaches. And it's the craziest thing in the world because I've never seen someone do what he does. Never seen a coach, never even heard of a coach. He wakes up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and say, if Mike, you're fighting, he'll look at your opponent and he'll sit there on the computer watching your opponent for hours. And
Wow.
He'll look at stuff and he won't write anything down. He'll look at movement. He'll look at stuff and then he'll just go through the whole cycle and write it. And then he's like, okay. And he'll learn on the fly, like right there. And then, all right. And then you have to meet with him. He's like, all right, your opponent does this very well, but your opponent is susceptible to this very well. He's like, let's try a mixture of, whenever he does this very well, we know it's going to happen. And this is how you're going to capitalize on it.
Nice.
So then he trains you to defeat that person in the best. And like, it's just like a chess player. And in the way to communicate with him, and like he communicate with you, he made you take a personality test so that he understands your personality. He understands how to talk to you in the cage, how to talk to you outside the cage, how to teach you, because there's certain different personalities that you learn different. You understand things different. We can both have the same exact thing explained to us, but you might have to have the overall picture. I might have to have just the small details to really understand it. We had the same information, but only went one way, and he just breaks everything down. And I might be talking a little too long about him, but it's just
good.
It's crazy how he cares that much.
Yeah.
And I truly trust him. Like when I'm in the octagon and I'm down 2 rounds and it's like, hey man, it's either you're going to get knocked out or you're going to win. Like you can win this fight. You won't get knocked out. Do this. All right, I'll do it. It's like, I believe in everything he says. I believe what his thoughts are. I believe in him. I believe in what his journey is towards me. And I feel the amount of love that he cares for by that dedication that he gives towards me. So it's cool to have a coach that matches that same exact intensity and same exact, level of want.
Yeah.
I want to be a champion. He wants me to be a champion. If I want to work out 10 days in a row, he'll work out 11 days. I love that.
Yeah, he seems that way. And I remember between rounds 1 and 2 and the Alvey fight, he came where he sat down, or you sat down, and he came to you and he said, look, I think you won the first round, but it could be 50-50, so let's go ahead and pick it up. Let's do this. Let's, get his back on the wall, whatever the case. And I've heard some weird predictions of what what coaches have said to their fighters, good or bad, during that time. But that was a very honest assessment that he was being. It was almost like a heart to heart. He said it in a very caring way, like, look, man, I think you're ahead. I think you're winning this fight and you're doing okay, but let's just go with 50-50 and let's get out there and do a little bit better this round. And it was you could just tell there was a lot of care in his voice when he said that. It was very sincere.
Oh yeah, man. It's true, man. I'll never forget. I hear James a lot, and in my career, I've trusted him in the beginning of my career, even though I left. I hear him a lot in the cage, and it's funny. I'm laughing because there's times where like, he'll tell me to stop doing something that I think is working. Yeah. Like when I was fighting Maki, we joke around because all he was saying, like in the 3rd round, I was throwing kicks and I was just off balance. I just wasn't feeling my striking. And he was just yelling, stop fucking kicking. And the moment I was like, okay, I'll stop kicking, he said, just punch. And that's all I hear out of his corner. And I start punching and it led the cycle to get the victory. And it's just like, he tells you how it is. And that's all I need to do. It's either this is what you need to do, this is how you should do it. He's been in the game for 15 plus years. He's fought some of the best, if not the best, strikers, grapplers across the world. He still has the same game plans for – I shouldn't say he still has the same game plans, but he still tests his theories and tests everything in the octagon against these high world-class strikers. And and grapplers. So like, why wouldn't you trust what he says?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's not like your coach has never stepped in the octagon, or your coach, you know, was a fighter back in 2018. This person still fights to this day against top talent, and he tells you exactly how it is. And it's either you ride with him or you don't. There's no in between. If you don't want to listen to him, then don't. Then he doesn't want to coach you, type deal.
I mean, he jumped in there and he's coming off of a big win over Claudio Silva last year, and that's a tough guy. I mean, he's like 14-2 or something like that. He was on a crazy win streak, and Krause beat him. And it seems like to me almost he does it. I mean, his passion's coaching. It seems to me like he just wants to be that leader that leads from the front. You know what I mean? Like, and goes out there and shows that he's about it, and that he's still a real fighter, and that's why, you know, he should be leading. And it just seems that kind of reason for me that he goes out there. And it's not that he's trying to accomplish a career anymore. He just goes out there and he fights tough guys, and he wins and he does good just to kind of do it. You know, maybe he just loves to fight every once in a while, but his passion's obviously coaching. But he just seems like that leader that leads from the front and wants to show everybody and show you guys and motivate you guys that he is a true fighter. Don't forget, you know.
Yeah, no, he is. He definitely. We have a thing, and I don't know if every gym has it, but there's a pecking order.
Yeah,
and you just know the pecking order in the gym. Like, you just know this how it's going to go. And there's always that top dog, and everyone's trying to go after the top dog in the pecking order. And let's just say it's his gym, so he is the top dog. And to be honest, he is. It's crazy how good he is, and most people don't really recognize it. But like in the pecking order, man, he'll come here and he'll just work with you, and people think that like, okay, like, yeah, I can take James, and then he turns it up, and you're just like, how does it, like, he just has world championship like jiu-jitsu. He has, you know, high level striking. He has IQ. He knows everything you're going to do before you do it. And that's why he takes these short notice fights, you know, like the fight with Trevin Giles, for instance, 24 hours notice, went up a weight class. Arguably, I believe he won that round. I don't know how the judge gave the first round to Trevin, but he beat a middleweight at a higher weight class than he is in less than 24 hours notice. Like, so, and his cardio, like, he has his cardio there. It's like he's not out of shape. Yeah. He's not tired. He beat world-class jiu-jitsu, 5-time world-class jiu-jitsu practitioners back-to-back, Claudio Silva, Sergio Moraes, like, and he's just dominating these people with just like the most easiest. I don't know how to explain it, man. It's so weird. It's like he knows what everyone's going to do, and that's the type of person he is. Like, he would love to fight more, but it's so hard to fight if you have a team under you. Absolutely. You're trying to build up. So he's got to take these short notice fights against these tough type contenders.
All right, everybody. Are you ready to save 20% and get free shipping on the best below-the-waist men's grooming product on the market? If you are, I'm talking about Manscaped, manscaped.com. You can go there right now, enter code QUICK, and get 20% off and free shipping. That's code QUICK, my nickname, easy. You support the podcast and you save money. Manscaped is precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and now they're available in Europe, Canada, and Australia, and also the official sponsor of the UFC and the official sponsor of the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast, and yours truly. I use the products. I love the products. They're awesome. The lawnmower's got like a flashlight on it. It's insane. I mean, I don't want to get into too much details because it's kind of private, but they are fantastic products. And like I said, you can save money. You can support the podcast. Manscaped.com, code QUICK, 20% off, and free shipping. You mentioned that you wrestled in high school, right? You said you wrestled in high school. What got you in martial arts? Like what was when you were growing up as a kid and you're from Missouri and stuff, right? What started you in martial arts? Like what was that turning point where you're like, I'm gonna get into combat sports, and then what progressed you into doing it professionally?
Man, so I'm a Cuban American, right, and my family's super close. Like, I'm telling you, when you wake up in the morning, like going to high school or going to school, like as a kid, you'll wake up, come downstairs, and you'll have another like tia, tío, aunt, uncle, cousin. They'll just have family are always there. Yeah. So our family was one of the first Cuban families in Missouri, in Kansas City, to reunite all the immediate families from Cuba. So we were slowly smuggling in our family members to the United States from Cuba, and they would live with us And then we would build them up enough to where they can buy their own, apartment and have their family live there. And then we're bringing the next. So we just have everyone there. Our family was so tight, close.
Yeah.
And Cubans, we love athletic sports. So boxing was one of the biggest things in the time. And we would throw a party for everything, man. Like, dude, if you got an A on a test, let's go. Vamos. We're going to have a party. We're going to have some coffee. We're going to have cerveza. We're going to drink a little cake. For what? He got an A. Mike got an A on his test. We're going to party. We're going to cook out. So some of the biggest nights that I remember growing up was these big boxing events that we'd have. Oscar De La Hoya voiced Floyd Mayweather. I mean, even Tank Abbott when he was going in there in the old days and Pride time. And we would just get together and just have these giant parties. And I always was like, man, I really want – I want to be that guy that my family gets together and just like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like just throws a sweet little party for. And that's like kind of what drove me into it. So I got into wrestling because I was in 6th or 7th grade. I was going to do basketball. And my dad's like, dude, this little prick needs, guidance. He needs something different. And my special ed teacher was actually the wrestling coach. And my dad's like, oh, you're the wrestling coach? He's like, all right, he's doing wrestling with you. Help him out. So Mr. Todd was his name. He was like a bodybuilder. Like not even a bodybuilder. He was a strongman. Like he would do the Atlas balls. This guy was like, he was not human. Yeah. I'm in 7th grade and this dude's like ginormous, like country boy that picks up 350-pound Atlas balls. So he's our wrestling coach and teaches us. And that kind of just went into like what it was. Like I thought I was getting to WWE Stone Cold Stunner. I thought I'm going to practice how to jump off the top rope onto somebody. Like wrestling was completely different. Yeah. And then I fell in love with that. And I went to high school, got in trouble, kicked off the team multiple times. So I never got to experience the full on, wrestling deal, but I still wrestled. It still kept me going. And college, same thing. I was in college, tore my knee out, got kicked out of college, and I was a shit kid, man. Just terrible. And got kicked out of college, had nothing going on. I looked up at Anderson Silva. He knocked out. This was 2010. I'm trying to think who he knocked out. It might have been Vitor Belfort. At the time with the front kick.
Yeah, he knocked out a lot of people.
Yeah, but I'm trying to sit there and think. I was inside of Snap Fitness. You remember Jacked, the pre-workout?
I think so. It's like a supplement.
Jacked E, but it was Jacked. And anyways, it had like this pre-workout. Dude, they banned it because it had like meth inside of it. Yeah. It was not safe. But anyways, I would like take 2 scoops of this after work at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd just lift for hours. And I remember seeing like a highlight reel on at Snap Fitness. I was like, yeah, man, like I can do this. Like I can knock out Anderson Silva. And I went to sleep that night at like, I don't know, 10 a.m. Went to sleep, and then at 4 o'clock, one of my friends called me and said, what are you doing? I was like, I'm waking up. And he goes, this gym out here is looking for fighters. They're looking for wrestlers. It's a fight gym. You're coming with me. I was like, okay, like where are you at? He goes, I'm outside your house. He's like, come outside. Didn't even give me a chance. And I went there, jumped in the car with him. He took me out to Lee Summit, Missouri at K2L Grindhouse, and legit just fell in love with this like fighting style. Like I didn't have anything, you know what I mean? I was working. Yeah. Taking jack, lifting weights, and
jack till 10 in the morning.
Yeah, it was just like doing dumb stuff. Like, and I had no guidance. I wasn't wrestling. I was taking 2 classes at a community college, just getting education that I don't even use, and paying money with no like endpoint, no idea what I wanted. And the moment I walked into that gym, I was like, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. And that was just pretty much how the life went.
And then you're undefeated as an amateur, and then you were fighting, obviously, and doing really well. What was the turning point to get you on the Contender series? Like, what happened to get you accepted onto that show where you got your huge break, obviously, and got in UFC?
Well, I lost in Bellator. That was like I was living in Kansas City. I was going up to Vegas at Syndicate, and I just didn't like the management. I wanted to figure this out. I was like, look, in order to do something, you have to go to the Mecca.
Right.
My friend in Mecca, Las Vegas is the Mecca of fighting. So my friend lived in Vegas at the time, and he flew me out and said, hey, he worked on he was a crab fisher. So he would leave 6 months at a time, but he would leave his family back. And he's like, hey, I want someone here to protect my family. He's like, you don't have to pay rent. So you just be here to support my family, help out. I said, okay.
Yeah.
So he gave me a place. Like I didn't have to, for a while until I got on my feet, I didn't have to pay any rent. I went out there, lived with him and his family. He was out on the fisher boats. I was training at Syndicate, and just when a fight would come up, I was a yes man.
Right.
So I took a fight on 9 days notice, said yes. Took a fight on 3 weeks notice. I said yes. And that was a Matt Hamill fight. Got Matt Hamill. Then took a fight with a little bit longer notice. That was against Cameron Olson. And got the knockout. And I was at a restaurant, and they called me. I was eating food, and they're like, hey, we got a question. This is Mick. We have a question for you. He's like, do you want to fight? Phil Haas at this weight? Or he said somebody else at 205. I was like, no, I'll fight this guy at this weight. And I hadn't made 85 in a long time. I was like, I'll fight Phil. And they're like, okay, like, are you sure you want to go to 85? Like, we know you're 205. I was like, yeah, I'll fight Phil. So, okay. He's like, just don't say anything to anybody. So I was like, all right. I shut my mouth the whole entire time. Everybody's asking me, all the reporters. I just trained in silence, no interviews, nothing. And then all of a sudden, John Jones knocks out DC with the head kick. And all of a sudden, you see my name pop up on the screen right after the main event against Phil Haas for that Tuesday. And it was probably the coolest feeling in the world.
Yeah. I can imagine, man. I remember those first moments like that. Let me just real quick, just because you got such interesting personality, and I'm sure your thoughts are quite as interesting as your personality is. So when I was in the octagon and I fought, oftentimes when you're out there, Bruce is announcing your name, or you're just sitting in there. Sometimes even during the fight, you have weird thoughts, like crazy thoughts, or something that has nothing to do with the fight at all. Do you have any memory of just some weird thought, or maybe it's just like hard to believe that you're there, or that you're just like, I don't know. I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts you remember while you're out there in your UFC career in the octagon that have nothing to do with the fight itself. That's just like a crazy thought that you still remember today. Because I have a few of them.
Man, it's crazy. Like in the back room, I have wild thoughts, just random things. Weird, like I thought like Miley. When I was walking out to Miley, I was like, okay, I'm going to call out Miley and be my Valentine's.
It's weird to think about these things.
That was legit in the back room before we walked out. But when I step into the octagon, like I try to tell people it's so weird, but like it's not me. Like I'm not saying I have split personality or nothing.
You got to morph a little bit.
Yeah, something comes out and was like, and it's a different person, different mentality, different. When I look at somebody, like I feel like I'm dormant, and I can't explain what it is. But when I go there, I'm finally able to release like the true personality, the person that's been hiding and like wants to just not hurt everybody, but wants to compete, wants to go out there. So my thoughts on there is when I look at my opponent, I'm like, all right, I'll look at him the same way like Mike Tyson looked at his opponent. I'm like, all right, this guy's going to give. He's like, all right, he's got a round in him. He's got 5 minutes in him. All right, he's going to be a tough one. All right, let's break him. Yeah. How are we going to break him? Where is he? And I'll just find kinks in his armor as I'm walking there looking him down. I was like, okay, there it is. And then I find it, and I attack that the whole entire fight. And with me, like when I look at fighters like Sam Alvey, I remember looking at him, and I was like, he did something. I was like, it's his breath. He can't breathe. I was like, okay, he's not going to have any cardio. I was like, all right, let's push the pace. Let's get him to faint. Let's get him. Let's attack his body. Let's take his breath away. And that's all I was doing the whole fight was attacking his body. We didn't plan on throwing those consistent jabs out. They all asked me afterwards, like, why did you do that? I was like, I don't even know. I have no idea. But it was just like I would see something in there, and it was right then. It's like a tell. And it says, hey, do this. And that's all I would go after the whole fight. And with the Maki fight, I was like, all right, he's going to come at me strong. I'm like, all right, just be calm, remain calm. I was like, oh, okay. and he did something. I was like, okay, chokes. He's susceptible to chokes. And I don't know what it is. They're like weird thoughts that come through my head. And in the fight, they just tell me what he goes after. And if you look at a fight, they're like, oh, Julian's going off of his front choke. You know, even Joe Rogan said it's like, it's not because, like, I go for chokes. I don't submit anybody in the gym. Like, I don't go for submissions. It's just I see something that they give. It's a tell that they give beforehand, and that I got to capitalize on it.
Do you see?
Is that weird?
No, absolutely not. And I think people would be shocked if they knew some of the things we think about, like backstage, walking out, and in the octagon, because it's been some weird thoughts that, like, I definitely know there's nobody that could possibly understand how those thoughts come in our head. And I think it's a mixture of like nerves and being in an environment that you're adrenaline. So your body's in a weird state, and so your brain is definitely for sure reacting different than normal. And so those thoughts just happen, and weird thoughts. But anyway, I'll get back on track here. So Adesanya, because I know you.
Tell me your weird thoughts. Come on. You can't leave me with like telling you some weird thoughts. Let me hear your weird thoughts.
Oh man, dude, so many. Like one time I was trying to figure out, like I had an issue with Bruce Buffer's suit. Like it was like just so miscolored, and I just couldn't get over. Like I'm like, man, this is like my night, man. And like, what is that? Like I love his suits, and I'm like kind of a fashion kind of guy, but it was just such a weird, you know, it wasn't weird. It was just I was trying to figure it out, and my thought was more in his suit than anything else. And then, like, it seems like so fast the fight started. And then I was, like, fighting, you know, I was face-punching this guy. And then I also thumbed myself in the eye one time. I had my hands up, and I was fighting somebody. I forgot who it was. I think it was Berkman. And I blocked a punch or whatever, and it caused my own thumb to go in my eye. And my eye went completely black. Like, I blacked my eye completely. I couldn't see anything. And I felt like so stupid because I just like poked myself in the eye. And I just remember thinking like how stupid I felt more than the concern of like not being able to see and get through that round, which was like 2 or 3 minutes left. And it was, I mean, you still had one eye, so it was fine. It was just one off instinct and fighting and just, it didn't affect much. But it was interesting that the concern I had was how stupid I felt that I thumbed my eye, even though nobody saw it and nobody knew, but I just felt really stupid about it. So little things like that, like I could go on all day, but it was little things. But let me ask you real fast, because you mentioned Anderson Silva was kind of a guy that you initially wanted to kind of knock out in your career. And there's no Anderson Silva anymore, obviously, but there is an Adesanya, and Adesanya is a very, very close replica, I guess, of Anderson Silva. He's kind of like the new sort of Anderson Silva, and he's in your division. Do you see him as kind of like your Anderson Silva now, like that you want to get to and defeat and kind of live out that whole kind of thing that you I mean, it's kind of like living out what you initially said. It's just a different person, but they're very similar.
Yeah, for sure. So this is the thing, is that like, I believe we idolize people too much to where we create this,
pedestal.
We create this mental block in your head. So what I mean by this is that, like, if anyone asks you, like, your favorite actor, and you can go in and express, like, all the stuff that they do, all the things that were reasons why they make you, like, a famous actor outside the deal, like, you're putting so much focus on that person, and you're taking away the focus of yourself. Like, literally, like, if that person was not at the place that they are, would you pay attention to them? And the answer is no. You're trying to live your life like them. You're trying to be everything like them. And to me, I focus on myself. And now Israel, I think he is amazing. His striking, his awareness in the cage, his movement, his just concepts of, you know, defense are phenomenal. Yeah. And then his personality outside the octagon. I think he's gotten a little bit loose and careless with some of the things he says, especially during the times that we are right now. Like, but I believe that he's actually he's super intelligent. What he's done and everything, he's doing the division amazing by trying to go challenge, becoming more of a popularity, because the more money he makes, the more money the division makes. The same thing at 155 with Conor McGregor. The more money he made, the more money 155 now brings. So he's doing us justice by building it up. And I think it's amazing. But I don't know a lot about him. I won't go into and sit there and be like, oh, this is what he does outside. This is what he is. Like, everything's new. I don't focus on him. I focus on the status of the championship. Because anything can happen. We never thought Chris Weidman was going to throw a weird 3 and knock out Anderson Silva. And then on the return, we never thought Chris Weidman was going to check a kick and it was going to snap Anderson Silva's like no one thought this stuff was going to happen prior. And I'm not saying that Israel Adesanya is going to end up, you know, he's going to end up losing the middleweight belt by the time that I get there. But I am saying is that belt is always going to change hands regardless of who's there. So I don't go after the person. I go after the belt, and I want the championship status. So if Israel's there at the time that I'm there, I'll be ready for it. If it's somebody else that has it at the time that I'm there, I'm going to be ready for them because I'm focusing on myself and making myself to that championship status to where whenever I fight the champion, I'm already the champion at the time. Mentally.
No, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And you're focused on the goal. And the goal is definitely the belt. Doesn't matter who has it.
What's up, everybody? I am here in Thailand. This is the first time I've ever been here. Been dying to come here for years. Mike Swick, he's one of the big reasons he's been trying to pull me down here. What he built down here, AKA Thailand, is incredible. There's people here from all over the world. You can train mixed martial arts here, jiu-jitsu. They have weightlifting, they have cardio, and obviously they have Muay Thai, boxing, everything. I'm telling you guys, I know everybody wants to go to Thailand because Thailand's so cool, but you can't come to Thailand without coming to AKA Thailand. Come on.
What did you think about the Ben Askren Jake Paul fight in general? Like, what were your thoughts before that fight happened? Did it turn out how you thought? And then what do you think about this whole Jake Paul thing and him as a fighter, personality, whatever, and this whole crossover thing? Like, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I think it's amazing. Look, this is like people are so butthurt about all this stuff. Like, at the end of the day, the kid is intelligent. The kid put work in doing whatever it is he does on YouTube. He has millions of fans on YouTube from whatever he did. Yeah. It's the same thing as a fighter that gets to the championship status. They did whatever they could to get there. This guy just had a different game plan. You're not going to be mad at a CEO of Amazon because he did all the stuff that he did to get where it's at. And he's utilizing that fame. So he calls out people that really can't box, and he can't box either. He has some great fundamental sound, like amateur boxing. And you have to give the credit. You could see it in his striking. I follow Ellie Setback, who is a huge reporter in the boxing world. I talk to him a lot. He posts videos of all these like behind-the-scenes boxing footage of people in their upcoming fight. Look, the guy's been in the boxing gym. He's working. He's doing good. He's got some talent, but he's fighting Ben Askren, who's a 70-pounder. That's what you do. You go in there, you fight these people to make your marketing, have people hate you, call out all this stuff, and make a crap load of money, grab the money and run. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks. It doesn't matter, oh, you need to fight a new boxer. No, I think he needs to fight someone that's not a boxer. That way he can go in there, he can knock them out, he can finish it, and get more money. Now, look, what is it? Teofimo Lopez is fighting on Thriller June 6th. He has his fight. And I think the undercard is Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather. Now look at this. That just now brought more eyes to that bout with Teofimo Lopez. It brought more eyes to his fight because of these two celebrity fights. And I need that. I can't be watching Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland 5 times in a row. I can't watch Israel Adesanya versus who is our two of Jan Blachowicz. I can't watch that 5 times in a row. Those are too serious of a fight. Like I can't watch that. Like my nerves, my emotion of the fighter in me can't take that. I need something to wash that fight out. So then you got Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. Okay, like it doesn't matter who wins. Like I'm interested in just seeing let's go here. Let's read the comments, what people say, and it's just going crazy. I think it's smart. I think it's awesome. The kid's doing great. If he does decide to fight someone with a bigger name that has striking, good for it. But I wouldn't. If I were him, I would call out, I think Dylan Danis. I would call him out.
It seems like the next move.
You'll knock him out. you'll get more people mad. You have more people sit there. They'll call him fake, but dude, he at the end of the day, on every Monday after those fights, he's cashing in a fat check. So it's like, if you're getting hurt by him doing what he's doing, then that is your own personality. You need to change your life. You know what I mean? You need to go do something like that. It's who cares, man?
Yeah, I was such a fighter for so long, and like grew up so like disciplined and all about the fight, and martial arts, and respect. So it's like it's hard to get used to people disrespecting martial artists and the way he attacked MMA fighters and stuff like that. So I was one of the ones who was a little butthurt with how disrespectful he was toward us in general as fighters, and how he could just come in and beat us by dragging the ones of us that have the least amount of striking into his game, and then beating him, and then saying that he could beat us all. And then it sucks, and I hate him for it. But the more I researched since the Askren fight and seen the stats and the accomplishments and what he's done, and researched him as far as he has a whole business side to him that people don't know about. Like he's like an investment guy and he has a partner he's worth more than Logan Paul. You know what I mean? Like he's worth more than his brother. And like the more I do research on him, it's like, I mean, it's kind of hard to knock him. Yeah, I mean, if he can get away with it, and like he's winning, you know what I mean? Like he's winning. So it's like people's going to be mad no matter who you are, how nice you are. If you're successful and you're making a shit ton of money and living a good life, you're going to have haters no matter what, even if you're the nicest guy in the world. So what's the difference if he's just an asshole and he picks easy opponents? And because it works, you know, it works. And so it's like, I hate it, but I'm starting to like have more respect for his game, because I think he's playing the game, and I think he's doing for boxing what needs to have been done a long time ago. As far as I've never been interested in boxing fights, and this is what really brought me to this conclusion after the Askren fight, because I wanted Askren to win just for the sake of our sport and his accomplishments. But for boxing, even Canelo and these guys, I'm not interested in watching boxing at all. I don't care about any of those fights, but I won't miss a Jake Paul fight. Like from now on, like I won't miss a Jake Paul fight no matter who he fights. So that has to tell you something, right? So there's got to be something there, and so he's doing something right. So I mean, he's changed my tune a little bit from being, and so now I'm just here for the show, I guess, you know.
You got to look at it like this. So like prior to Conor McGregor on his come up, everyone hated Conor McGregor, right? He was knocking people out. Everyone's saying the same exact things that they're saying to Conor McGregor that they are saying to Jake Paul. And then now look at Conor doing all the things he does. It's terrible in this sport, but you have to understand this sport, hate travels faster than love.
Yeah, for sure.
In this sport. Now, I want people to hate me. I really do. I want people to hate me. And I want them to look at, man, dude, this guy's post-fight speech sucks. This guy blew it with Miley. But, like, none of it is like, man, this guy's a terrible person.
Yeah.
This guy's this, like, you'll watch my fight because you know it's exciting, and you're like, damn it, here comes a cringy-ass, random-ass, like, speech. Like, this guy sucks. But, like, even though you were just completely entertained by the fight that would just happen, you're just going to hate me for something that's not real, something that you shouldn't hate somebody for. But the thing is that, like, Jake Paul's doing that. He's utilizing all that hate. Now, Ben Askren does not represent Julian Marquez.
Right.
Ben Askren does not represent mixed martial arts. He does not represent us. The thing is that martial arts, you're one person going into the octagon fighting, and when you win or lose or draw, you walk out there by yourself with that status. So when Ben Askren went over to fight Jake Paul, he's not representing me, because at the end of the day, I know that if it were an actual fight, if he's like, I got a lot of money, or I got more money than you, I would be like, look, I can beat your ass. Yeah. And he would sit there and say everything. And I'm like, who's like, oh, boxing? And it's like, no. Like, if we fought right here, you're face to face, I will fuck you up. That's it. And he wouldn't be able to say anything. He could say whatever he wants to try to say. But him and I both know that I would beat his ass. And that's the same thing as like Tyron Woodley. We both know he would win. Even you would beat up Jake Paul. And Jake knows this. So why would Jake ever want to fight you? Like, it's all like, at the end of the day, I know that if I ever fought him the way that I fight, because my life is mixed martial arts, I would dominate him. And so it's like, it doesn't hurt me if he wins via, knockout by Ben Askren. I think that's amazing. I think it's so awesome because, one, it got a whole bunch of people talking. Everyone's over here trying to be like, oh, this, that, the other. Everybody's calling him out. Dude, I want to see him fight again. I want to see him fight another person that doesn't have any boxing credentials just to see everyone get mad.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's hilarious. Like, how can you legitimately think about it? And you said that you were mad, and I understand that, being a true martial artist, respect it, this, that, and that. He's not a martial artist. No. He's a boxer.
You got to take him for what he is.
Yeah, he's a boxer. He's no Canelo.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he's no Canelo. Canelo would do what he wants. Lomachenko would do what he wants. Like, these guys have put years and time, and they look amazing, and you're like, okay. All it is, like, now I know, like, okay, go to Jake Paul, watch him box. He's going to throw that overhand right, which is deadly, has a lot of power. He's knocked out a lot of people in the gym, and he's going to knock out any amateur boxer all day. But if you put him against a real boxer, it might not go as pretty. So let's let him make all that money. Let's let him make all the hype. Let's let him get the conversation on mixed martial arts and and boxing. Let's let him build it up, because he's doing a fantastic job to get more eyes on the combat sports, and I love it.
And I think he has the potential to be bigger than a Conor McGregor type. I mean, you look at Conor, and Conor had the same characteristics and the same attitude, the same craziness, but Conor had to earn his place to cement that huge legacy. And you're talking, and this is what's amazing about this, is like, I remember thinking, like, the world was thinking, like, what the fuck is going up with Conor, or going on with Conor fighting Floyd Mayweather? This is a legitimate badass fighter who was a 2-time champion, 2 weight divisions, fighting Floyd Mayweather. I mean, you have to assume that's not that crazy. It is crazy, but it's not that. It's not near as crazy as Jake Paul being a top 10 pay-per-view selling boxer, and he's never fought a boxer, and he's never fought somebody that even trains in boxing. So when you think about the fact that he's pulled that shit off, it's like a heist. It's like he's doing stuff that, like, Conor couldn't even. Conor had to win those fights and go that route. He's going around the system, and he's like obtaining bigger success faster. And I think Brendan Schaub had a good point. He said, you know, we love Floyd Mayweather, we love Canelo, we love Adrian Broner, we love all these guys, but do you remember their first 3 fights? And he's like, no, nobody does. Nobody remembers their first 3 fights. But we remember Jake's, and this is his first 3 fights, and he's never fought a boxer, and he has a top 10 pay-per-view of boxing. It's fucking unbelievable. So it's like, when you think of it like that, I mean, it's crazy, right?
Look at it like this, though. Look at it like this. So, like, you say, like, we love Canelo, we love
this is what Brennan said. This is what Brennan said.
Brennan said, so we love them. No, people don't love them. People want to see them lose.
Yeah, that's most why people,
they pay for. Right. That's literally why they pay for. They want to see them.
Some of them.
You know how much was going against Floyd Mayweather to fight Conor McGregor? Like, they put ridiculous amount of money on Conor McGregor because they wanted to see Floyd lose. And it's just like, that's why people pay, is they want to see it lose. Now, Jake Paul and his YouTube buildup and everything they had prior to that, that's all the line of work he needed to get to the status he had. It was intelligent being the first YouTuber to switch over. And the thing is YouTube makes money.
Yeah.
It makes way more money. There's like a 5-year-old kid or like under 10-year-old that all he does is open up boxes of toys. He's one of the biggest paid YouTubers. You know what I'm talking about?
I have 2 daughters, and they used to watch that all the time. They'd open up toys, and then you got to buy the toys, and they link the toys underneath. So not only are they getting sponsored by these toy companies, millions of dollars, and they're making tons of money. Some of these videos on YouTube have like 50 million views, 60 million views, 70 million views. Then they link the toys in the bio, how you can buy them, and then they get like whatever it is, affiliate pay from the toy. So it's like these people are making crazy money, and they're just literally opening toys and saying, this is a cool toy. And my daughter's like, I want that toy. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to buy this toy now.
That's the thing. It's like, so YouTube pays that, and like MMA has not figured out to monetize that type of, that type of technique. Now he has all that, and look, now he's doing the same thing. Yeah. He's bringing that YouTube business mind into boxing, and he's saying, I got Ben Askren. I'm going to knock out Ben Askren. And instead of everyone's like, oh, I want that type of deal, it's like, I want you to lose. Like, you're not going to fight him. He's a professional athlete. He's this, that, and the other. And it's true. Like, I saw Ben get mauled. I saw him take a wild-ass knee by Jay Heron in their fight with each other. I saw him take a punishment by Robbie Lawler
that was
to see an overhand right crack him to the point where I'm like, damn, it was like that fast. But it was just, everybody wanted to see him lose. I just wanted to see more eyes get brought up to the combat sport. And I love that entertainment, that crazy stuff. And he's using his platform great. And like I said, I cannot wait. You should challenge him to fight, dude. You should challenge him to box.
No way. He would never fight me. I'm not famous or anything like enough to fight this guy. And I'm 41 years old. And I mean, I would definitely do it. I'm a striker, so I would definitely do it. And I train every day. But I would never get that opportunity.
You probably won't fight him then. Yeah, that's
He's
true.
gonna fight somebody with no striking. I've been training and striking for 30 years. You know, like at some form or another.
Yeah.
I've had 15 fights in the UFC. You know, it's like he's not gonna fight me. He's not gonna fight Tyron. He's gonna keep doing what he's doing, and it's gonna keep building hype, and people's gonna hate him or love him, and he's gonna just keep doing what he's doing. So, like I said, you got to respect his game. And I think Dana White even came out and said the same thing. You know, he needs to. Well, basically what I just said, you got to respect his game. He's doing what needs to be done for that sport, and kind of for like what you said, sports combat in general. Like, I mean, it is creating him, including MMA fighters, is still building hype for everyone, kind of in a weird way. You know, even if he is beating ones that don't have striking.
Think of those million followers that he had on YouTube that follow him and that ride or die with him. They were like, who is Ben Askren? And they searched Ben Askren. Then they searched Ben Askren fights. And a lot of them were tied into UFC. I mean, obviously, they're going to look at Ben Askren and the knockout that he received by Jorge. So, like, they're going to watch that, and then they start diving in like, oh, that's brutal. When you see that fight, I don't care if you're a non-fighter or if you're a fighter. If you see that fight, the first thing you're going to do is like, I want to see more. Yeah. Like, you want to see more of that. So then they go into that. So he's bringing eyes in to the combat world as well, the boxing world, MMA world, by doing these cross promotions. But it's good for the sport. Like I would never get mad at somebody making their own money. You know, it's all an act. It's all a sell. We're in the entertainment business, and he's real good at entertaining. Yeah, that's it.
It's true, man. It's true. He's winning the game right now. And man, listen, I want to first of all, I ask you real fast. Have you ever been in Thailand by chance?
No, I haven't. I've always wanted to go, man. I see pictures all the time. Khalil Roundtree went up there, and we were talking about going prior to the pandemic, and then I have not been, but I would love to go out there.
Well, I have an awesome place here, man. I have a big sports gym and or fight gym, sports combat gym. And so anytime you want to come to Thailand and Phuket, which is one of the most beautiful islands in the world, hit me up, man. You have an open invitation. I'll take care of you, take you to the islands. We'll get some training in, and you'll have an amazing time. And I want to say thank you so much for taking time out for coming on the show. I'd love to check in with you again before maybe your next fight when you get signed, and just do a quick update and see how you're doing, seeing how your fight camp went. But I appreciate you taking the time out for being on my show. It's been great talking to you, man. I love your personality, and I had a great time.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate everything. Thanks for having me on. You're amazing.
All right, brother. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. And heal up.
Yeah, we'll do. Bye.